Three, two, one.
You ready?
Listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We are the Real Pineapple. This is Hunter, and I'm here with Scott. Scott, how you doing?
I am eating ice cream off a plate. I'm fantastic.
And wait, what are you doing?
I'm eating ice cream off a plate.
Do you not have a bowl in your house? Are you like Ron Swanson?
No, I do. No, I do. It was more the fact of me eating ice cream, not really what I was eating it on. Oh. But I thought it was a nice little tidbit, so I threw it in.
Fair enough. And oh my God, look who we have back. We got a Colin. Colin, welcome back, sir. How you doing?
Good. What's up, guys? It's good to be back. I know. I was MIA for a little bit, so dude, it just feels good to be back.
Well,
it feels good for us to have you back as well.
Feeling the love it.
Especially when, so me and Scott, we just reviewed Mamma Mia here recently, and Jurassic World.
I'm so sorry I wasn't on that review, dude. I'm so sorry. Because I was talking about that for weeks ahead of time, all the previews, so, dude, I wish. I
mean, so I'll be honest, we hit this lull. Equalizer 2 review will be up this weekend, by the way, but between Mamma Mia and Jurassic World and Hotel Transylvania 3, it just has been a really rough couple weeks as far as like good shit. This rectifies that because full spoilers, by the way, we're talking Mission Impossible Fallout, and I'm just throwing it out there. I fucking adore this movie. I was so happy when I left that theater. I was like, Tom Cruise, yeah, because The Mummy is still pretty fresh in my mind. I was like, oh God, that's right, he did The Mummy, but then he did American Made, which me and Colin, I think it was me and Colin reviewed that. We both really enjoyed American Made. This is back to classic Tom Cruise. Temple Run Tom Cruise, because he just runs a bunch and does his own stunts and is super insane. But I thought this was, for me, the best Mission Impossible of the series by not a wide margin. I think it's insulting the last two, but I enjoyed the hell out of this. Colin, kind of your thoughts, because I know you love these. So
yeah, this is honestly I honestly have like a tear in my eye right now, because I went into this review so worried that I was gonna have to battle you again on some dumb disagreement about a movie that I love that you don't love, and also that happens vice versa. But I'm so happy to hear you say that, because yes, I do love the Mission Impossible movies. It's interesting that you say this is your favorite of all of them. That's a very interesting take. I like that. I'm excited to hear more. But I think you bring up a great point when you talk about Tom Cruise kind of rebounding off of maybe not a stellar 2017.
Oh, no.
He did have American Made, which I think made my honorable mentions last year for best movies. But The Mummy, I think, made all of our worst stuff.
It did. We all hated it.
All three of us. So I thought this was a good rebound. Yeah, dude. I was super stoked on it. Scott, man. All right, I'm waiting. What'd you think? What did you think of this one?
So, okay, I have to kind of throw a into the pod for a sec, but it's not what you think. It's not what you think. Fair. It's not what you think. So, got my ticket. Past the refreshments. Like, no thanks. I don't need popcorn for where I'm going. Hand my ticket to the guy. It's on your right, like number 6 or something. End up into the theater. I'm probably 10 minutes late or so. Usually right when the credits are the previews are ending and they're starting the movie, even a little bit before then. And I get in, and it was kind of dark. and I went and found my seat. I'm like, this is kind of strange because I feel like they'd be still showing previews at this point, or it'd at least be like the very, very beginning. And so I stuck it out, and I was watching. There's a point. It was watching a very climactic part of the movie, and long story short, I go into this movie like 15 minutes towards the end.
Oh no!
In a different movie.
Oh no!
In a different theater. So
So they're like in the helicopter?
Yeah. So I saw
no.
the whole helicopter scene like first.
Oh fuck!
So I was thinking to myself, like, do I try to now go into the original one? And I was like, well, I have a unique opportunity here to grade this movie based off of what I just saw.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing a wrench in here because just a little twist to it. I haven't seen most of this movie.
You've only seen the last 15 minutes?
Except for the last, like, 15 minutes of this movie.
That's hilarious. Well, we're excited to fill you in, I guess.
Yeah, and from what I will say right now, from what I saw, I liked it. And yeah, I mean, take it away from here. But I had a choice to go back in the other one that I was originally intended for, and I was like, you know what, this is kind of a unique opportunity. I feel like I should.
You're selling the hell out of it. I'll tell you that.
Thanks. It was
unique
quite
opportunity,
thrilling, actually.
like you said.
I was like, this seems like a little much, like in the beginning. Like this seemed like just they're putting all their cards on the table in the first 15 minutes of this movie. And I'm waiting for it to kind of slow down and then kind of set a pace as far as like, setting the tone for the plot, and it just ends.
in your defense, some of these movies have started out like insanely.
Yeah, exactly.
too.
I'm like, this is plausible.
Like I think it's either Rogue Nation or Ghost Protocol, where it's like the movie starts out and he's holding on to like an aircraft carrier,
Right,
and, like takes off
right.
into the sky. So
It's,
I don't blame you.
exactly.
I don't blame
And
you.
like it kind of it plays out to where it's like it's a mission, and they kind of like it fit perfectly to when I entered this movie, and yeah, I just here we go. Like I don't know like opinions going into this movie. I don't know. I feel like there's so many of these that it has to at some point be a breaking point. Like there always was so many of these action-packed blockbuster thrillers that continue to make sequels of each other. I think it would be hard to, without seeing the full movie, it'd be hard to beat the very first Mission Impossible. I think that was my favorite one.
The first one, really?
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, the original.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like very like spy, very like covert ops. Not a lot of action that is kind of developed into now. But yeah, I mean, I was expecting definitely another Tom Cruise thriller.
So I'll be straight up with you. My biggest axe to grind against these movies has been the plots are just, I don't know what the fuck is going on in these movies. I just kind of go into them almost like in a haze. And then when I leave, I go, okay, Tom Cruise ran a bunch and he hung off of something and he came really close to dying. And that's all I remember.
That's fair. They're pretty convoluted.
They really are, but this movie, this plot, it seemed way more straightforward. I went,
I agree.
I was like, thank you. Like, you're giving me something to grasp, like, hold on to. And I think the thing that surprised me the most is that the team, Simon Pegg, Vin Rames. I'm sorry, whenever I see Vin Rames, I always just think that movie The Goods that he was in. Where he's like
that's what you think of when you see Vin Rames?
Yeah, you think of The Goods.
Dude, I think of Pulp Fiction, bro.
Yeah, definitely Pulp Fiction.
The Goods was better, but I think
but that's
Marcellus
Pulp
Wallace
Fiction
look
is
like
like
a
that's like the
bitch
most
to you?
iconic scene ever. He's like did the samurai sword. Are you kidding me?
I know it's a very random reference, but I think of Vin Rames as Luther and Simon Pegg as Benji. First off, they gave Simon Pegg a lot more to do this time around, which I appreciated because I'm a huge nerd for Simon Pegg, and they do bring a lot of stuff back, even from the third movie, like onward. So I feel like if you've been watching these for a while, you're actually rewarded for having, the knowledge. I'll be the first to admit, I watched the Mission Impossible in 7 minutes on IGN before I went into this, and I still was like, what the fuck? Like,
I watched the Mission Impossible in 11 minutes. Still very unclear on what the entire story was.
It's not.
But
okay.
It was from Vanity Fair, so it was like they were all dressed in like GQ clothing.
Yeah, because the thing is, the plot, they're kind of like the Fast and Furious movies. It's like, do you really care about the plot, honestly?
Okay, they're a little bit... Okay, come on. They're a little bit more in-depth than Fast and Furious.
No, they are. I'm just saying, like, in that same vein, where if I told you, oh, this doesn't make sense in Fast and Furious, really? That's the thing you're hung up on, not the fact. And
I think these are more confusing.
They are. Surprisingly so. They're just more in-depth, and...
It's like, it takes a lot of dedication to, probably like rewatching it, honestly. And I don't rewatch all of these, so I don't know the plot super well. But like, honestly, it is. It's like, if you really want to like appreciate the plot, and maybe you're listening to this and you do, and you have, like, then I mean, man, you must really love this movie, because even without kind of having that appreciation, like, wouldn't you agree, Hunter? Like, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't. I think you'll get more from it if you do kind of refamiliarize yourself with the
and I did that too. Yeah, for sure. I agree.
So this was directed and written by Christopher McQuire, who also did Rogue Nation. He also was a screenwriter for The Mummy, so he also saw a screenwriter on Edge of Tomorrow, and the original Jack Reacher. So
that was a surprisingly decent movie.
Yeah, so he's done.
He's actually directed. He directed this Ghost Protocol. I think it was Jack Reacher.
Producer on that, I believe.
I think he was the director on the first Jack Reacher in 2012. Yeah,
first one. Yes, yeah, correct.
Yep.
Boom. He also did The Tourist, which is just really random. Like, he's done a lot of random shit. This guy that you remember.
Can I tell you a little? I was reading an interview with them about the making of the film. Can I share one thing about them?
Yeah, please.
So, they were interviewing Simon Pegg, and they were asking him about I think this is now his 4th in a row that he's done. I think he started on Mission Impossible 3, right? That's when they introduced Simon Pegg.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so he did Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation. Now he's done Fallout, and he worked with McQuarrie now with like the last 2, and he was saying like, dude, these guys, like him and Tom Cruise, they'll be shooting a scene and they keep changing it. Like they stick to the script so loosely in order to make the stunts work, which is like a really cool kind of idea of making a movie. But Simon Pegg was saying this is like I don't know what the exact quote was, but I wrote something down. He was like, dude, they work off of each other and they're constantly changing the script and adapting the screenplay to work as the film evolves. And sometimes that can be like a huge detriment to the film, but it seems like they do it so well. And especially after knowing how poorly Tom Cruise can do in a movie these days by seeing The Mummy, I was like, dude, he clearly has a really great relationship working with this director. It seems like they do a good job.
That seems like a huge challenge to do that, to make it like film cohesive, but also be adapting it throughout. That seems like it's quite undertaking. So
did you see, Scott, and Hunter, stop me at any point if you feel like we're getting too off track from where you're trying to go.
No, go ahead.
But Scott, when you saw the last 15 minutes, did you see Henry Cavill?
Yes, and I did. And
so what did you think of Henry Cavill when you saw him?
First off, boing, right?
Yes, super boner, am I right?
Yeah. The guy, I've liked him like in like most things he's done since Man of Steel, basically. Yes, yeah, I did see him.
He was rocking the little half stash. He didn't have to get it edited out. That's nice.
Yeah.
It was like kind of like everything else was sort of shaved, and then his mustache kind of wasn't.
Right.
I was really bummed actually that I missed the bathroom fight scene that they show in the previews, because I feel like even in the previews I was like, this looks badass.
Dude, can I let me say two things about Henry Cavill, and then, dude, Hunter, I'm going to throw it right back to you, bro. I got you. Just once. But, dude, so the first thing I was going to say about Henry Cavill was that he was also in this this interview piece, and he was talking about how, like, Tom and McQuarrie were like, dude, they kept changing everything, and his character kept changing and evolving, and he said it was, like, super challenging, but it was also like super fun. And then he was like really happy with how his character changed throughout the entire film. And if you see like how this movie ends to where, dude, he starts, like you should rewatch this movie at some point, like Definitely. From the beginning. But you're gonna start watching, you're gonna be like, wait, this is the character that I saw the last 15 minutes of at the start? Like, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. And the only other thing, because you brought it up, dude, and Hunter, you got to talk about this next. The bathroom fight scene, they said that it was originally going to take 4 days to film. And they kept wanting it to... Specifically Tom Cruise, who does all his own stunts, and was like encouraging Cavill to do all his own stunts. So they're doing all their own stunts in this scene. They said it was originally going to take 4 days. Dude, it took 4 weeks to complete.
Holy shit.
Dude, Hunter, talk to me about this scene, dude.
Okay. This reminded me of that overpass scene in Winter Soldier, that hand to hand. I just went, oh my god, this is why I love action movies sometimes, because so they go into basically Ethan Hunt and Henry Cavill's character. I want to say it's Walker. I want to say.
Yeah, he's a new guy. Yeah, I think it's Walker.
August, like that. August Walker.
August Walker. Thank you. They go into the bathroom to infiltrate this guy who's buying a plutonium weapon, and so they knock the guy out, and they're trying to do the classic Mission Impossible, scan the face, so Ethan can sub in as him, and this guy wakes up after they thought they knocked him out, and to this guy's credit, he goes toe-to-toe with Ethan and Walker. This guy was doing like Muay, very much like Muay Thai and like flipping and all this shit.
He's like Bruce Lee.
Dude, seriously, like the guy is not fucking around. There's this point he punches Henry Cavill and my jaw hurt. I was like, oh my god, I was like, shit, okay. And then, dude, Ethan grabs a fucking pipe from underneath the sink and starts swinging at this guy. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is happening. Scott, you need to see that scene. It's so I'll be honest, Colin, that scene alone, I went, oh, you're at a B+. This is one of my favorite action scenes I've seen in, like, all year. I went, oh my, like, outside of people fighting Thanos, I was like, holy shit, this is how you do action. And
dude, this old white lady was in front of me, dude, and she just like at one of the punches and it went dead silent and he like flies back into the toilet. She was like, "Damn!" it like cracked me up because like, it just like summed up everything.
So
please continue, dude.
I was basically Alea will basically tell you I was basically like Smokey from Friday, because I was like, you got knocked the fuck out. Like, I kept basically doing that in my head, because that is the thing about this movie, that the action, it's so white knuckle, and I was literally on the edge of my seat for probably 85% of this movie. I was just sitting in my seat, occasionally hitting my pen and blowing it to the side, and going, oh my god, this movie is just blowing my fucking mind. And Tom Cruise is 56. Which is just
God, that's crazy to hear out loud.
Which is insane to me. And I was watching him on Fallon, and he talked about how he trained Scott, for the scene you saw. He trained for 1.5 years to learn to fly a fucking helicopter. I went, what? Really? It's just
jeez.
Tom Cruise is insane, and while he's kooky as far as what he believes. The guy is an entertaining motherfucker, man. I give him all the credit in the world because
it's like a Christian Bale thing. It seems like where these guys are like so insane that they just put everything into these characters and they come out amazing on the screen.
No, very very true, and I'll say for me too. This is the first time, and I think the films have flirted with this of making Ethan human because he was married to Michelle Monaghan, and I'm blanking on her character's name, but they've kind of flirted with being like, oh, he's more than just a super spy and all that, and this was the first time it felt like they fully realized that, if that makes sense. Like they really did a good job of actually.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Julia, that's what they did a really good job of making you go, okay, this guy genuinely gives a shit, and he's got
layers. He's got layers. He's not just some like dumb action guy. He's got morals. He's got values. He's got emotions.
Yeah, and this is probably the most Tom Cruise has acted since American Made, and before that, probably the most he's acted since. What would you say? Maybe Valkyrie. Honestly, I mean, it's been a minute since he's probably Edge of Tomorrow. I would say, but this is the most layered performance I've seen from Tom Cruise.
It's great writing too. I thought.
Yeah, they did a good job of just not making him super spy.
And dude, you know who was great, man? And I'm sure you'll get to this later, but dude, I just have to say, dude, Ving Rhames. He had like a dialogue with one of the characters, and he's talking about Ethan Hunt. And how he saved his life, and dude, he's like tearing up, dude. And I don't choke up a lot in movies, but dude, I was like, dude, I'm choking up in Mission Impossible 6 right now because Ving Rhames is killing this performance right now. Like he had such an emotional moment, and his eyes were tearing up, and I was like, I honestly think like he honestly loves Tom Cruise, and I was like all coming through right there, and I was like, oh my god, like Ving Rhames, you're so sweet.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. It kind of made me think. About like me at your wedding, where I was just like, "Yeah, Colin's a great guy," and I'm not gonna cry. Whatever. Okay,
all I remember from you at my wedding was you telling all of my new in-laws that I told you that my family one time owned your family.
I did say that.
That's all I remember, and being like,
you opened with that too.
You opened with that, and I was like, everything you said after that didn't matter, and I was like, oh god.
That was probably better. You had to break the ice a little bit with that one.
No, actually, what I opened
it actually was great. It was classic, like groomsman speech. It was incredible.
To be fair, what I opened it with was a lot of black people here, huh? I remember that. That's the last thing.
No, if I remember correctly, it had something to do with the tax bracket.
Yeah, I said I'm not actually calling a friend. Sean invited me here for the tax cut.
Yep, that was it.
But
that was the one.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of getting off course,
that's super off course. But yes.
But
yeah. Anyway,
but you're right though. Ving Rhames like he brought in the acting, like the method acting for that shit. I went okay, and I think what I appreciate about him and Benji is that Benji is usually the tech guy, and at the end of the movie, it really is up to Luther to be more the tech guy. And Benji, Simon Pegg's doing some hand-to-hand combat. I was like, oh shit, like fucking Simon Pegg is throwing bows. That's fucking awesome. Like,
I love Luther and Benji too. Those two like have been so great, and throughout the movies.
What I did appreciate is Rebecca Ferguson. She plays I can't remember what she said. It's Isla Haas, I want to say. The last thing you remember her in, she was in Greatest Showman, and she was fucking wonderful in that shit. But she was in, I want to say it was the fourth Mission Impossible. I want to say that was Ghost Protocol. Actually, no, I think it was Rogue Nation. I think about it, where basically she was kind of under. It wasn't MI6. She had a
huge role in I think she was with MI6 in Ghost Protocol.
And basically,
she kind of like is going against Ethan at the end to take the information back to MI6 or something like that.
Yeah, and once you find out why, I went, oh, okay, that's fair. So she's a nice kind of continuation that they bring back and wrap up pretty nicely to their credit. I went, oh,
and she's a badass too.
She's a scary woman. There's a point she's trying to shoot. She's shooting at Ethan. I went, man, I would not fuck with her. Like she's a scary woman. But the thing is about the plot. Basically, you need to know petroleum, nuclear weapons.
But seriously though, you said that you like this plot better than other ones, right? So why would you to get back to the positives? Why did you think that this was a better plot? Like how it was more accessible or easier to follow. What do you think about it?
So the reason why for me is because it's addressed something that I don't think they address enough in the Bond films. So basically, you find out. I know we said full spoilers, but full spoilers in case you didn't hear. Walker.
Oh, Scott's already seen the last 15 minutes.
yeah, exactly. So Scott,
I am the spoiler.
But
they defused the bomb.
yeah, well,
You did it. Well, I was like, man, I could see this coming a mile away. I feel like they're totally gonna disarm this thing. On to the next. Oh, this is
oh wait, credits? Scene. What?
But what's interesting about this is that the movie brings up something I don't think the Bond films bring up enough, where the fact that Ethan's government has just IMF. They've continuously put this guy in just ridiculous goddamn situations, and Walker even says to Angela Bassett, who's in this fine ass Angela Bassett, might I say, that woman. But he tells her how many times.
Easy down, boy.
What? I'm just saying. She asked me to, but I mean, how many times can someone's organization or their country just basically say "fuck you" and then keeps bailing him out? And I went, that's a really good reason to actually try to frame him. And when they lay out the evidence, I went, you're kind of convincing me, Walker, that Ethan might have turned. And I thought that wrinkle in it was really well done. I mean, of course, as an audience, we know, of course, Ethan didn't turn. But you think about all the movies that he's been in doing this shit, and how the government's kind of been like, oh, that's cool, like, thanks. Oh, by the way, here's another fire for you to put out. How you wouldn't just kind of wouldn't just snap. And I really thought that was a very good, surprisingly logical conclusion to come to. So when it's brought up to everyone, and some people kind of go, well, maybe he did kind of fuck up. It's really interesting. Colin, kind of your thoughts on that? Yeah,
I agree with you. But did you think in general, like, because I kind of thought that, like, I liked the idea that it was the plot was as simple as there's bad people trying to get plutonium, and if they get it, they're going to nuke the world. You have to stop them. Like, that's essentially the plot. And, like, when you break it down, like, that's the plot, I'm like, I mean, you can't really put the stakes too much higher.
Like, true.
Like, I love that. And, it's not maybe the most inventive or creative plot in the world, but, like, when it comes down to it, it's very fitting. Obviously, like, in this universe, the MI6 and the IMF exists, like, these people would be in charge of stopping it.
So, I mean, I guess the question is, like, how many more of these, because you were talking about Hunter, how, like, it's the agency against him and stuff like that, or it's the government against him. Like, do we feel like there's a half-life for this? Do we feel like there's an expiration point for having kind of like a similar, simple plot like this? Or is it do you think it's like a Tom Cruise deal? If like we want to see him kick ass.
If the movies continue to be this good, they can do 5 more of these. I wouldn't give a shit. Like because honestly, after the last one, I went, maybe it's time to wrap this up. And after I left the theater, I looked over at Leia. I said, I'm gonna probably go see this in IMAX because we saw this in.
Ooh, I saw it in IMAX, bro.
Oh, how was it?
Dude, you already know.
Oh, damn it.
You already know you got to see it. You know how good it is.
So we saw it in 3D, real 3D, like simpletons, unlike Colin here who saw shit in IMAX. But
oh my god,
I saw it in 3D.
The sound. I'm telling you, dude, Scott, you have no idea. You have to see this bathroom fight scene, bro.
What's the
There's no music. It's dead silent, and it's just sound effects, and the sound effects are so loud.
What is the over under on an IMAX like addition to a grade? like a half grade?
I say half
or like
grade.
a full grade.
I mean, if Hunter, you tell us, you go see it on IMAX, and then tell us what you think this grade is now, and then say like. But
for me,
I think it's impossible though, because you can only see a movie for the first time once, right?
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yep.
Like once you see a movie the second time, you've already seen it. So the distinction between the two, you're not going to have the same emotions involved.
Right. The first time I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, it was in IMAX, and it blew my mind away. So
yeah,
I was just throwing that wrinkle in there. But, so you feel like if we like this formula, like this kind of guys kind of like your action, your girl, your spy thing. Not to comment on this movie's plot, but I'm just saying in general. Do you feel like this has legs to keep going?
I truly do, because I think Tom Cruise. I think this is his tent pole, and I mean he's a producer on these, like on every single one. So he clearly is putting in work. And I'll be honest, man, if he's gonna keep doing his own stunts, man, and just put this much care in, he'll get me in the seat. He'll get me in the theater just out of respect, because seriously, this is the most Tom Cruise-iest movie maybe ever. You get running Tom Cruise. You get
running Tom Cruise. Yep.
you get I'm trying to chase this guy down. Oh, motorcycle? What's a helmet? Fuck that. Like
you get jumping Tom Cruise, dude. You get climbing Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You get a flying helicopter, Tom Cruise. You get him going fucking hand to hand with Superman, Tom Cruise.
Dude,
you see him surviving a helicopter crash. Just like a Tom Cruise.
If they made dolls of every single Tom Cruise in this, I would own them all, because every Tom Cruise in this movie was so. There's a point where you find out that Walker is what's the guy's code name? John, not John Doe. It was like John Luck, I want to say, or John
Lark.
Locke?
I think it was Lark.
Lark, yeah. There's this point he's just chasing him down on foot. I got tired watching Tom Cruise run. Tom Cruise is running for like a solid 10 minutes. Like, dude. no shame in his game.
But dude, you know why that scene works though? And please continue on your point. But like, dude, that scene works because of Simon Pegg, right? Because he's just he's making fun of it the whole time.
Yeah,
he's just like, go left, and Tom Cruise is like, there's nowhere to go left, and he's like, I was looking at the map wrong. Go right, or whatever. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah. And then he just like he just breaks a window and jumps out of it. It's
Colin, I love how all into this movie you are. It makes me happy.
No, and he has every right to be, because this movie, man, there are just points. So you saw the last bit, obviously, Scott. But where,
it makes me laugh every time I think about it.
But when Tom Cruise is climbing this helicopter and falls and only survives by grabbing onto the edge of the payload, I went, holy shit, okay, please stop this right now, you're gonna hurt him. And when he gets control of the helicopter, he tries ramming Walker's helicopter. I'm like, this dude is fucking insane. And then the helicopters crash, and the other helicopter comes towards him. I went, get out of the helicopter. This movie's so good. It's so good. Like, Colin, I was happy leaving the theater, because me and Colin are going to really connect on this, and that makes me happy. Because I remember the last one, we were kind of at odds on it, and I was like, but this,
we were.
Dude, I was lost, but now I'm found, man. I fucking loved it. Like,
I mean, honestly, this is like prodigal son shit right here,
dude. It really is. And the last thing I'll say before I throw it back to Colin, the way, you see Benji and oh god, Vin Rhames' character, I'm totally blanking, but they're defusing. Vin Rhames is defusing one. Luther. Luther's defusing one bomb with Julie's help, Michelle Monaghan. The girl from Rogue Nation, Rebecca Ferguson's character, she's teaming up with Simon Pegg, who's being fucking hung by the villain in the last movie. I'm like, oh my god, this is just like... And Tom Cruise is trying to get a detonator, and he keeps cutting back and forth between the three scenes, and I'm just sitting there in my seat like, this is intense. Oh my god, what's going on? Like, I was losing my shit the last 20 minutes of this movie. And Alec Baldwin is in it, and Alec Baldwin, man, he was great. Just everyone's so good in this, and I'll be honest, man. The first thought I had when I left the theater, I went, I have to buy this in 4K the day it comes out. Like there's not even dude. If Best Buy, which I'm sure they will, does a fucking like steelbook edition of this shit, I will be buying it like first day because I
mean, honestly, I'm gonna cry. I'm so happy.
So Colin, like throwing it back to you, man. Yeah, like what else you got? Like anything else you want to throw out?
No, dude. Is it cool if I just wrap up my thoughts and give my grade?
Yeah, please.
All right. I think, dude, it's just such a good time. Just like seeing the movie is such a good time. I know that people have their problems with Tom Cruise in general, like as a person in real life, IRL. Like I get it. But you cannot deny, you have to respect the fact that this man just gives his all in these movies.
Yep.
Doing these crazy stunts, doing everything he does. That's my only thing to say about Tom Cruise, because he just brings it, as he always does. Dude, Henry Cavill is a welcome member of this franchise.
Yep.
In this movie. He seems like this, adversary, this kind of like, colleague kind of like person that he's jarring with at the start, and then he turns out to be much more, quite the adversary. That works super well. The script is
super well.
Probably because he's super,
you know. Yeah, that's right.
But not to drag things on too long, dude. Honestly, I loved everybody in this. The script isn't too much. Like I feel like when you get to number 6 of a movie, you don't try as hard, and maybe that's a good thing. Like, maybe you're just like some dudes are trying to get nukes. Ethan Hunt's trying to stop them. Have fun. Like, there you go. Like, that's it. And, they do cool things with it. Like, I feel like we haven't even spoiled 2 of the best twists in the movie.
Yeah, I want to save those. I do want to save those.
Yeah, so I haven't even... Like, there's a twist at the start that's brilliant.
Yes, it is.
Involving Wolf Blitzer that I won't actually say. Scott, you should see the movie and enjoy that. But And then there's another twist later on with... Simon Pegg, right?
So good. So good.
And so those twists aren't like really, changing the plot, but they're changing the scene. And I mean, it really makes for some incredible scenes. Like, dude, there's great action. There's some great acting, and there's some great, writing. And honestly, when it all plays out at the end, maybe it got a little slow here and there. Maybe it was a little long. It's 2 hours and 20-something minutes. It's a little long. But overall, dude, I loved it. I think at the end of the year, I'm going to look back at all the movies I saw this year, and this is probably going to make my top 10. I'm not even going to lie, dude. So, that being said, who am I to say I shouldn't give this a fan fucking 10?
Yeah, right. Okay.
So there I go, man. All right. So that's me. Hunter, what you got?
So I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I went into this movie thinking I'm gonna get this review thing. I'm gonna give it an A, but Colin, you have sold me, sir. Talking about this movie, I'm just sitting here with a big smile on my face. Tom Cruise, man. So there's this point where he's protecting someone who's going to connect him to the buyer. What was her name? The White Sparrow or some shit like that.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, and the way he protects her, he kills like 6 people within a minute. I went, oh my god, Tom Cruise is the shit. This is the most acting we've probably gotten from Ethan Hunt out of these movies probably since the 3rd one, as far as just kind of the emotion and showing various ranges. Tom Cruise is a hell of an actor. I think people really do forget that. Angela Bassett, she's not in this a lot, but she just brings this authoritative element to it. Alec Baldwin is fucking great. I always love seeing Alec Baldwin. Plus, he does a great Trump, and that makes me laugh. This is the most they've used Benji, Simon Pegg's character, probably since the 3rd one. And I like the way that Luther and Benji, they're not in their typical roles. Like, they're almost like flipping roles as far as what the other person has to do. So there's just these little tweaks that they make that makes the film work so well. And the last fight scene between Walker and Ethan, oh my god, it is so just grabbing the edge of your seat going, oh my god, how's this happening? And the way the helicopters fall, like during this mountain, like in between this mountain, I was so tense the whole time. I love this movie. Yeah, fan-fucking-tastic, man. This
yes.
I'll be honest. What are we in? We're coming up on August. I don't know how high it'll go because, like I said, Infinity War and Black Panther did come out this year. This deserves a spot on my top 10. Like, even if it's my number 10, I will find a spot for this. I enjoyed the shit out of this movie. You need to go see it immediately. I cannot stress enough. I told my roomie OJ here. I told him, like, dude, you need to go see it just for the action. But for me,
just for the bathroom scene, my god.
Yeah, and the last 25 minutes or so is some of the most tense I've felt in a film in a while. I was just genuinely impressed with how they pulled everything off. So yeah, man, fan-fucking-tastic. I'll probably go see this again next weekend in IMAX. To be totally honest, I think I'll go.
I highly recommend it.
So. Yeah, so Scott, you should see all the movie.
Yeah, you don't want to know my grade?
Yeah, tell me.
What's your grade of the last 15 minutes?
Yeah.
I feel like from what I saw, it really brought the movie up from where I was at. Still not a lot of background or character development, I would say, and a lot was lacking in the plot. So, like, even with all that, I would still give it like a B.
Nice.
Having only seen 15, it's like a short, as like a Mission Impossible short. I want to see more. I want to see more Tom Cruise. I feel like they're really shortchanged me on Tom Cruise.
That was great, man.
This seems like a realistic thing.
Solid take there, buddy. But guys, what did you think of Mission Impossible? By the way, just a real quick segue. It hasn't happened yet, but if you have Movie Pass like I do, you can't see Fallout with Movie Pass, so you're gonna actually have to pay for this shit. And to be honest, this is one of those movies.
Yeah, I'm canceling mine, by the way.
Yeah, this is one of those movies I wouldn't use Movie Pass on. Like, I would gladly give the studio my money for this shit because. And J.J. Abrams was a producer on this shit. Bad Robot was one of the companies involved, and damn, man, these movies, kudos to them, man. Kudos to them for really, presumably nailing the formula. I hope they do at least one more. And the way Tom Cruise is going, I mean, we got Top Gun, next Top Gun coming out. I guess this is.
God, is that real? Is that a real thing? I haven't heard about this.
That is, yeah. They're doing another Top Gun.
Oh, Jesus.
So I don't love the first one, but who knows? It could be alright.
You don't love the first Top Gun? Is that what you just said?
I don't.
Oh boy! All right, can we end this review?
Sorry, but guys, let us know what you thought of Fallout in the comments below. I know Colin hates me now again.
Just dropping bombs at the end. Of this thing.
Come on, you can't drop bombs on me like that.
I'm sorry. So now, to be fair, I haven't seen it in about a decade, so it's long overdue for a while.
I mean, it doesn't grow with age. I'll say that.
It's called holding up, Hunter.
I mean, you're definitely not going to like it more than you saw before.
If you like 80s love scenes, you are going to love
Take my breath away.
I really love that scene where they're playing volleyball and it's always sunny.
Yeah, dude, playing with the boys. Yeah. All right, you're making a lot of good points. We can't talk about this anymore.
Thank you, but let us know what you thought in the comments below. You can follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music at The Real Pineapple. Follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can like us on Facebook on The Real Pineapple. You can follow Colin on Twitter at
The Real O'Neill.
And you can follow our buddy Scott here on Twitter at
Newman the First.
Guys, we have what does come out this weekend? Oh yeah, that Christopher Robin movie comes out this weekend. I hope that's good. And then The Spy Who Dumped Me, which these guys are going to be way funnier than I think it's going to be, or it's going to be a big piece of poo. So those come out this weekend. So we'll have reviews up for that as well. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.